morning, everybody. It's Wired Wednesday.
Hello.
I hope everybody is doing a good job and enjoying today. It's a Wednesday. We don't have wind yet. It's mostly good weather. And we are so blessed to have the rain in the last couple of weeks that we've had.
Nice.
So, in studio today, I'm really excited because every time we have David Bosshardt in studio, we have such a robust conversation. So, we're going to kind of dive right into it today. Dave, what is your passion for getting up in the morning?
My passion to get up in the morning, I love to watch the sun come up. I really do. I'm one of these early riders that people think is crazy, but I love to get up and watch the sun come up and over the beautiful valley that I live in, and just see my fields out there as it comes and shines on them.
It's a special moment. I would say it's the miracle hour.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, the weather is usually the coolest at that time of day, and the wind's the calmest, and we can just enjoy that time of day. Because, as later on in the day, it gets hotter, and it starts getting a little more breezy, and it's not as enjoyable to me as first thing in the morning.
I love the morning as well, and it's really magical to see that. Granted, I do live in Cedar. In the inner city, not even in Cedar Valley. But watching the sunrise over the mountaintops and that first light, where you can just kind of see all God's creations come to life and really provide life for a lot of us out there.
Yes, it does.
With all of the things that Ag does for Iron County, you brought me some really great statistics that I want to go through today. But I want to make sure everybody knows where we got these resources. And if you Google Ag Counts, it will populate the USDA.gov website of agcounts.usda.gov. And some of the statistics are a little older, but I believe they're still very relevant, especially in today's market, where population has not only increased, but the economic driving forces in agriculture have also increased, would you say?
Yeah, they've increased it. And one thing with agriculture, and a lot of major industries the same way, is what we bring in, we put back out. Our supply and demand drives our cost. We have to pay for fertilizer, we have to pay for fuel, we have to pay for labor. And all that money goes back out in this end of the community, the county, mostly because that's where we live and that's where all this is driven from. We live in a unique county. I don't know how many you're aware of, but we have 3 tractor dealerships in Iron County. And you go down to Washington County, yeah, they got construction dealerships, but they only got a branch of one of our tractor dealerships in Washington County, as far as I'm concerned, aware of. You go up to Beaver County, I don't know what they have up there. I haven't been up there. But it's neat because of where we sit. And then we have 2 farm supply that does actually come out of my fields and spray them for me or fertilizer for me. And so in other counties, you don't have that. And so most of the money, I would say, in southwestern Utah itself, agriculture comes in Iron County because of the uniqueness that we have sitting here.
Well, and I would even branch off to say that Lincoln County also comes to here and White Pine County also comes to here because we are the closest relative, to anybody else that they have.
Yeah, that's close. There is a dealership in Lynn, Nevada that sells equipment that covers most of Nevada, but there's a lot of people that come from Lincoln County to the dealerships over here.
And to the grocery stores and the different things because those are ag-based communities as well.
Remember where Lynn is?
Lund?
Didn't you say Lynn, Nevada?
Lund.
Oh, Lund. Okay. All right. No,
Lund,
that
Nevada.
Yeah. I mean, our Lund, Utah, I think has 1 resident in it now. Maybe 2 if you count the chickens. But Lund, Nevada is just on the other side of the border, close.
Well, it's about 50 miles southwest of Ely.
Southwest, so it's further in.
Yes, it's
into this state.
So to go on the pavement, you have to go to Ely and back down.
Ah.
The best way to go. There is a dirt road, and you can take it across if it's decent weather, but you don't it depends on what you're driving.
Yes. Not a Corvette on the dirt road is what I would recommend.
Yeah.
So with the ag production, the numbers that I'm going to kind of read off quickly so we can get into a deeper discussion about it are farm production expenses for 2017, through 2012 through 2017. So they're a little older. They just haven't updated the websites yet, but they are very relevant numbers. And in 2017, the total farm production expenses, and we'll kind of deep dive into a couple other of them, was $110 million. That is the expenses. That is not income. That is how much it would cost our Iron County specifically in the state of Utah,
yes,
was $110 million. Not 10 million, not, $110 million. And the economic driving force of that is all of that money is being spent and regenerated, and a multiplier of, I would say, at least 8, maybe even 10 of economic activity here in Iron County, right? Of the bigger ones of those, that's a derivative of the 110 million, would be livestock and poultry purchased or leased for 10 million, gasoline, fuels, and oil, 4 million. Just in agriculture, they're spending at least 4 million in Iron County on fuels and gasoline. Repairs and maintenance, so all of the tire shops, all of the mechanicking shops, all of the different shops out there that help with all of the equipment things and maintenance.
Mechanicking shops.
Yes, mechanic.
Mechanical shops.
They do so much more than just mechanic. They have to troubleshoot. They have to find the, as Leon would say, the knock, rattle, and
Shake, rattle, and pull.
excuse me, shake, rattle, and pull.
Call me crazy. I used to call them repair shops, but mechanicking shops, I'll make that.
Well, it just and hired. So that one was 10 million. Excuse me, and the farm hired labor was $13 million of that $110 million, and it's incredible to kind of just step back and remember of those expenses. They're also creating jobs and creating demand in other industries.
Yes, they are. Especially, like you said, your repair shops. Most of your repair shops, they got, I don't know how many guys they've got working. The dealerships alone got mechanics back there that are geniuses when it comes to machines. I mean, they got computer technology now that they can diagnose a machine pretty quick. There's times that you have to sit back, and I've talked to them. I do some of my own mechanicing too, but I've talked to some of those guys, and once in a while you just have to get back to the basics and go, wait a minute, this is what's wrong. But because the computer will tell you so much, but there's some things that you just figure it out on your own. Well, and you lead really good into another statistic that's in front of me, as well as how many farms are driven primarily by a male. In the household, how many farms are male dominant? I don't know what the statistics were. I gave it to you, and I forgot my glasses this morning. So no worries. So in Iron County specifically, it is for Iron County specifically. That's Iron County. There's 446 farms with male principal producers. Okay, that means that in Iron County there's 132 female principal producers. Now, what that really tells us is there are almost 670 households in Iron County that produce for Iron County. Yes. Right? Whether it's male or female driven, that's a pretty statistic that somebody clicked a box on and said, I'm a male and I'm a female. Okay? Yep. But what that really says is that many households are involved in making sure that agriculture stays alive in Iron County. And in most of those households, it's not one or the other. It's the deciding factor. They click the box on that survey and said, who is the deciding factor? But most households like mine, I and my wife are co-managers. We make decisions together 90% of the time. You function as a team? We function as a team, not only as in a marriage, but in a business sense. And sometimes it gets a little hectic when you think you're locked in the house, so your job is done for the day, and your wife starts asking you numbers that I don't want to think about that right now. Right.
The job came home with you.
Yeah, the job's there. I mean, I live on my farm. I can see 3 of my 5 fields from my house, and I love it. But sometimes it just.
But sometimes you don't.
Sometimes I don't. It's like, wait a minute, I didn't get a break. She got after me the other day. She goes, I walked to the door and things didn't quite happen, like sometimes. And she goes, well, you had a 5-mile drive to get here before to defuse. And I'm going, no, I did not. I had things going on in my brain. I had people on the phone. And I had conversations going on. So I really didn't have 5 miles to defuse. I still was doing my job. And that people don't understand in agriculture, sometimes it's a 24-hour-a-day job. And sometimes it feels like it's longer than that.
It really.
But I've had phone calls and stuff going on after I want to deal with them in the night, and before, even though I'm an early riser, sometimes I wake up and I have texts from 2:00 in the morning going, I didn't want to talk to you at that time, but
right.
I will text you now, and if you're awake, that's fine. We'll have a conversation. If not, okay. You know where I'm at now, and then you can talk to me when you're ready to talk. That's the nice thing about texting, is because we can talk whenever.
Well, and you're really pointing out that it all balances, and even though, there's harder days or easier days and whatnot, you're driven to make sure that these things stay in Iron County for agriculture.
Yeah, well, they're staying in Iron County for agriculture, and they're staying in Iron County for my kid. I have a daughter that lives and works for me in Iron County, along with her husband. They both work for me. And I got another one that is graduating tonight from Enterprise High School. I forgot that. But their roots are here. And they want to return here and stay here.
Right.
I asked my youngest one the other day, what are you doing? She goes, I'm going to go to school. She's going to go to and learn business management, ag management stuff, and return to the farm. That's her goal. Right now, at 18 years.
And it's really special that you've instilled those principles in her to want to come back to Iron County and make sure that agriculture stays alive here.
Yeah, she loves it. She loves the farm. She loves being out. And I mean, there's kids out there that don't want nothing to do with the farm once they're grown. There's some that have nothing to do with the farm and they go away and come back. When I left in '85 to go to Utah State to school, I wasn't sure where I was going, what I was going to do. My sister was home, I was home, and I knew the farm couldn't support both of us, but I knew what I loved, and I knew what I wanted to do. And after I got through with school, things kind of changed. My sister got married, moved away, and I worked with my dad, and I took over managing with him and worked my way into the farm. And so it wasn't something that at 18 that I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what industry I wanted to be in, but I didn't know what I was going to do in that industry, because I figured I was going to head for the mechanic shop somewhere and turn wrenches.
Well, and luckily you have that skill set to help on your own farm of the education that you have, and the passion that you're showing us today is what a lot of producers go through.
Yeah, they do.
What do I want to do? What do I want to be? How do I want to show the world that this still matters?
Mm-hmm. And just like we were at the Farm Bureau meeting the other night, and yeah, Paul Nelson. I know Paul Nelson. He's the sheep producer here in Cedar City, Iron County, and I know him, but I never knew his kids. And his boy came to our meeting, and he worked as a range manager for the
Forest Service. Yep.
And I thought that was the neatest thing for a kid that was raised on a sheep farm to want to be, so that the ranchers knew what they needed to do, went to school to do that.
Right.
And come back and done that. And I thought that was the neatest feeling. I don't know how Paul feels about it, but to me that was the neatest thing that could ever.
Well, and it really comes full circle, because what happens is these kids in Iron County graduate school and go off to college, and then somehow they make their way back. And we're seeing a flood of people come in back from Iron County, and they say, no, we're never from here, or we've spent our summers here. And repeatedly I have conversations with people, and eventually we find relations, you know, it might have been 2 or 3 generations ago, but they're finding their way home, and they want to preserve what's here.
Yeah.
A lot of people moving here, yes, the population's increasing and things, but they still want the lifestyle of what's here. And that's to me what agriculture gives us, is the lifestyle of, you know, seeing farms and seeing fields and seeing the lambs and the calves and all the things through the springtime, but seeing open space.
Yeah.
And seeing that fully utilized and generating huge economic activity, I would say.
Very huge activity. And I mean, in the open space, I mean, it is a big thing. And I went to a meeting in Denver with my daughter that's not living in Iron County, but she's in agriculture. She works for the NRCS too. But she was an arranged meeting. In fact, there, and I went with to her, and then they went on a tour to Denver has bought this big ranch for open space. That's what it is for.
Oh, interesting.
And the guy was still running it that owned it, but Denver owns it, and that's what it's going to be left as, is open space. And there's stuff in Utah that people have sold for that purpose, is to leave open space.
It's incredible, the powers that be, that, you know, when you're driven to protect something and you're driven to make sure that lifestyles are sustainable here in Iron County, that there's lots of moving and shaking happening to preserve that and to keep it here in Iron County.
Yeah, and a lot of it's behind the scenes, so people don't realize what's happening out there, but it's happening.
Right.
And it's all for the community. It's not just for me, it's for everybody. Because there's things we can do for us and not the community, but we try and a lot of it in the agricultural side, I see a lot more for community than I do with some of the other industries that I've been associated with. It's all about them, where in agriculture it is usually more about, me and my neighbors, we're going to help each other.
You know, it's really incredible. Thank you, David, for joining us for Wired Wednesday. This time sometimes goes too fast for us to really go through it. It's really incredible how much agriculture does for this county, and how we need to work together as a team throughout all branches of the community to make sure that lifestyle and that way of life is preserved here in Iron County. Thank you so much, David, for joining us. We love that you drove in this morning, and we love watching those sunrises.
So, if you talk to any of the sheep producers and stuff, because are they going to be delayed getting up the hill this year?
In some regards, yes, just because of the snowpack and things.
Yeah.
But theoretically, even with the heavy snowpack that we've had, it's all been done by June 14th or thereabouts. And that's kind of when the mountains open anyways. Is the mountains technically by county rules, I think, is open June 14th to October 14th is when they maintain the dirt roads through that. And they will push those open to make sure producers can get up there and that they can get down in the later fall.
Okay, because I was.
There is a heavy snowpack, but it is melting quickly. And I mean, we can see it through the not flood waters. It is runoff. Okay, there's a big difference, but Coal Creek is very heavily flowing.
Yeah.
For the Virgin River out of North Fork's very heavily flowing. There's been major road damage done. So I know that respective county crews are working diligently in making sure that our producers can get back up to their mountain range so we can keep the livestock producers in business.
All right. Well, because I was thinking, I would take a trip up there. I said, I bet you can't get through. I was talking to a friend up in Beaver, asking him when they're going to have the road over the Tushers plowed so he can go down to Junction. He said,
July.
September.
Yeah.
September.
It definitely, and I doubt that Kimberly Road opens this year. We love going through the Tushers and down to the Kimberly mine for a picnic and back up through Big John's Flat, and I doubt that we get that trip in this year.
All right.
Thank you so
your
much.
Your number again?
435-592-2021. This is Wired Wednesday with McKinnon Hansen. Thank you so much, David, for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
one last time, let's get a check of what is happening.